morning, everybody. It's Myron at Zuk's Off-Road. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some proprietary information on a product that I've made for years. I'm going to be talking to you about the Harley Davidson carburetor and how to make it ready for turbo. As you know by now, Harley Davidson has obsoleted these key-in carburetors. I can't get them anymore, so I moved on to the Mikunis over there. But this leaves thousands of you out there with my side kits that you might want a turbo. So anyways, let's get right into it right now. We're going to show you how to turbo it. Okay, so here's a carburetor that I've already started to turbo. You really can't see much of a difference here until I point out some things. So let me line them up the same way so you can see here. So we're going to start with the main jet. This is the main jet in the Harley Davidson carburetor, and it separates from what's called the emulsifier tube. The main jet is too restrictive. You can't drill this big enough. If you did, you wouldn't have any threads. It would just disappear. The emulsifier tube becomes the new main jet. And the whole trick to this is getting your air-fuel ratio meter to give you the numbers that you want. Most turbo damage occurs from people tuning the engines, and they try to drive it when it's lean. So if you are doing your turbo and your gauge says anything, 14, 15, 16, don't drive it. Limp it back to the shop, and basically let's start getting some fuel in here. So this is a dirty emulsifier tube. I'm going to get a clean one here. What we're going to do with the emulsifier tube is we're going to find the drill. Remember the 1 to 60 drill bits, people. You've got them when the 1 to 60 drill bit set. Talk about them a lot. You need them for the Mikuni sometimes. You need them for the Harley all the times. What we're looking for is the drill that fits in. And then what we're going to do is put that drill back, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3 more drills. And now it won't fit in. What I want you to know is the emulsifier tube has fuel all around it, and then air is going up it. This hole here can never be changed. This is set. So when you're drilling out your shank of the emulsifier tube, you only go a little bit past the last hole. Now, this is a 16-hole emulsifier tube, original Harley Davidson. If you only have 3 holes and 3 holes, you probably have a Dynajet. Throw it away, get yourself an emulsifier tube from Harley Davidson, and remember, go 3 times larger, but do not go past those small holes that are up here to this end. This hole must remain the same. This hole here can get bigger. Once you've gone 3 times up, you can still go 1 or 2 more times, but where the fuel really comes in is when we're going to take even a smaller drill, and that's why we need the 1 to 60, because they're so small. Lift this up here. So here is give you an idea here. This is a number 49. Look how small that is. So what we're going to do to get more fuel, my gauge says 15, I can't drive it, I need to get in 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill through this hole, and we're going to come out the hole on the other side of the shank. And then we're going to put it all back together, and then we're going to drive it again and see what we gained. And we're going to have to take it out again. We're going to have to drill this hole, and then we're going to have to drill this hole, and finally your numbers are going to start showing up. And remember, we want 12, 12, 5. Those are great numbers. So underneath the emulsifier tube is something called a needle guide. Now the needle guide has got the hole that matches the hole for the emulsifier tube. It holds it together like that. That's why we do not want to change this. This is a fit so that it's a tight fit, doesn't leak. But on this side, we have the funnel. The reason why we have the funnel is because when the wind is flipping the needle around, and just to show you how it all works, when the wind is flipping the needle around in the slide, it needs the big hole to find it. And that is how it meters fuel. Now you can see it work. Get that guy down in there. And then as the slide moves, it lets more fuel out. It's that simple. It's a metering system. So whenever you put your emulsifier tube back in, you've always got to take your needle guide and drop the funnel down first, and then put your emulsifier tube back in. right next to the emulsifier tube. Oh, by the way, this has got to go in a hole, and sometimes you need to push it down to make it go through the hole. It's a really tight fit. So we're just going to try to show you what that's supposed to look like when it's set up. And sometimes this can be a real pain, so we're not going to mess around with that if it isn't going to go in easy this morning. Right next to the big emulsifier tube, which is now your main jet, this is your idle jet. And what I do is I put in a brand new 52 idle in most of these so that you have more fuel at idle. So when I'm doing the turbo, I put in a 52 idle jet down in that hole. Warning, warning, warning. There is a special screwdriver I have made. You have got to get a good bite on the head of the idle jet, because you can wipe this head out. And then you have to send the carb in to us or take it to a Harley shop, because you see that's just got a brass head. You got to get a really good bite on it, and it's very tight, so you want to be careful. It's brass, it's soft, so you got to really get your screwdriver down in there to fit. And like I said, I custom ground this Matco $80 screwdriver. Okay, now this is your fuel inlet right here. This is where the fuel comes in. This is the needle valve, and this is how the float operates, and of course it's upside down. What I want to show you here is that there's a little freeze plug right there, and we're going to drill that with the number 6 drill just to get it loose, and then we're going to pop it out. I'm not going to tell you the drill size, but I'm going to tell you that it has to be tapped at 1/8 NPT. And then we put an elbow in with a anabolic sealer from Permatex. It comes in a little tiny tube. It's anabolic, which means it resists chemicals. Now what this has done, this has given us the ability to boost into the carburetor down into the fuel bowl. Before with you guys, you might remember, oh, you can't plug that hole, this has got to breathe. Well, this is the hole that it used to breathe from. I tap, do usually a 1/4-28, and I put a set screw in there with the anabolic sealant. So this is not a breathing hole anymore. This is now the breathing hole, and it just is simply blocked right here. Now if you follow the casting around, you can see there's casting here, and then it goes down here. Well, there's a hole in the bottom, or the top of the float bowl, that would be, and that's how we can boost into it. See, it went through. Now, it goes through both sides. It comes through this side and then comes down here. So there's actually 2 holes on the roof of the float bowl. I've explained this to you before, that when you go to the carnival and you put your back on that one wheel that goes around, it's centrifugal force. You cannot move towards the center. It works the same way with boost. When boost is going into the face of the carburetor, the fuel has a hard time coming up, and that's why we have to use a pitot tube to blow into this elbow to force the fuel to come up through the needle guide. So that is how we boost into the carburetor right there. Okay? Next, we're going to be talking about, there was a port right here, and you want to drill this, and you want to tap this, and this is another 1/4-28. Do not drill the hole bigger down at the bottom. Just go in a little ways, tap it 1/4-28. You want to plug this. The reason why you want to plug up the carburetor is because you're blowing into it, and gas is going to try to find every exit it can, and we just want it to come out of here and go into the carb through the the mouth of the carburetor. Okay, moving on to the next part of this. The float bowl would have a screw right here to drain it. Well, as you can see here, if the fuel gets this high, it's going to go in this hole, and if this screw was open, it would come out this hose. Now this is what it looks like here before I work on it. So I'm going to take this elbow out. I'm going to drill a hole I believe it's a 29 drill, 1032 tap, and I'm going to put a 1032 set screw in here because what I want is, I want that clogged up. I do not want that to leak any fuel. So if the fuel's a little bit higher, yes, it'll fill this up, but we're not using that anyways. We're not using the drain when we boost. So that's another thing that we do. Every time I go through them, I always replace the diaphragm for the accelerator pump. If the boot's in bad condition, I replace that. I put in new O-rings. I almost always put in, when I'm working on a carb, I almost always put in a new needle valve. I don't sell Harley-Davidson parts, but I can help you get the part numbers, and you can buy them from your local Harley-Davidson dealer. So this is, again, how we're going to boost into the carburetor. This is new, that wasn't there. And we have to plug up all the holes, like I said, and so that is how I am turboing Harley-Davidson carburetors for you guys. Well, pretty much that's how I turbo this carburetor. Now, obviously, if you're not buying my turbo kit, I'm not going to be sit here and answer your technical questions. You know, it's how I make a living, is making product, inventing product, getting it out there, and I am pretty famous for answering questions. I don't mind working with the do-it-yourself people at all. I just hate being copied. So if you buy a few parts from me, I can probably commit to some tech support. Obviously, if you buy a turbo kit from me, I'm going to be there through tech support all the way to the end. The thing, again, I want to really stress is that when you're turboing an engine, it has to have 150 psi minimum. And that's like my threshold. If you don't have that, you don't have a motor that you can turbo. And while you're turboing it, you've got to make sure that you run it rich. You're putting a lot more air in, and you just cannot go with the normal amount of fuel. You've got to add a lot more fuel. So if you're boosting 5 pounds of air, you're really putting a lot of air into that engine. You've got to put a little bit more fuel. A lot more fuel in some cases. Depends on where you're at with elevation. So again, be happy to answer any technical questions. This is something I've always said, send in, and I charge you $45 plus parts to do this. So all of these are customer carbs. I have 6, 7 of them here. You know, the turbo kits are getting close to going out. Turbo kits have been a real problem for me ever since my daughter left about 14 months ago. She used to package them for me, and that helped a lot. So I've been doing the shipping. I've been doing the office work. I've been doing the daily calls, which is now, it's always 30, 40 calls a day. It's cool. It's great. I love to do it. I have been a little short with people lately. That I apologize for. Lots going on here at Zuk's Off-Road, and I'm just trying to get everybody's orders filled as fast as possible. So with all that said, go wheeling, be safe, have fun. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button. It'll be on this page somewhere. And as always, just remember, Suzuki's the best car out there for four-wheeling. Bye, everybody. I'm going to show you what I do to make these ready, and I'm going to give you some hints and tips